Hello and welcome back to What's Bubbling in ZIM. I'm Dr. Abstract, and in this bubbling we're happy to announce that we have launched ZIM 018. Woohoo! So here's the new site, and let's do a refresh on that. So whenever we refresh, we get this new pattern going up at the top there. Whoa, kind of animates in nicely, doesn't it? That's some generative art based on an NFT that we did, so you can look through that. Let's see, we've got the What's New banner right here, so you can press that. In the future, this banner might be something else though, so you can always find what's new by pressing up here. And here we have the features for ZIM 018, along with a mini site that we've launched for ML5, which allows us to do hand tracking, face tracking, body tracking, and also an image classifier, and a few other things as well. If you go to the ML5, we can read in any of that. ML5 stands for Machine Learning 5. We can read in any of that because it's JavaScript, and then we can show it on the canvas. So there are lots of tutorials for P5.js, for instance, with ML5, and anything that P5.js can do, we can most likely do as well. Oh, one thing, P5.js also has 3D built into it. ZIM does not have native 3D. We piggyback on 3JS. So you can use ML5 with the 3JS model of a face, for instance, whereas P5.js has can do the face directly in P5.js. Here's face tracking. By the way, as I'm recording this, I'm using the camera in my OBS to do that, and that conflicts with the camera, so it might be hard. I think I can start the camera in here and then go to OBS, but I haven't done that for this intro. So in other words, we can't do any of these intro ML5 ones here. But in this bubbling, I'm just wanting to show you where all the new things are. So here they are, and we can go and try them. For instance, here is the new carousel component. I don't want to show you too much because we'll probably do a bubbling on this. Okay, but that's what you do. You press those, and you can check them out, and we'll do bubblings on those. Another thing that we've updated is, well, why don't we go to the About page first. Here in the About page, we've added a couple more things to the features, but you don't need to worry about that. And then here is the new About, and it talks about what we've uploaded. So it's primarily the integrated hand and pinch tracking. Well, there's the carousel. We've added some things to physics and a data class as well, and some new hit tests. We've added line width and justify to the label letters and made motion controllers work on tiles, and a bunch of other updates. So where can you find those other updates? Anyway, those are the versions there. Now that's been updated. And if we go to the docs, the official place for updates are in the docs and then updates, like that. But note that when we go to the update page here, down at the bottom are the ZIM updates. And even if you were looking over in the About section, where we were before, there's the updates there. So I'll take you to those in just a sec, but I wanted to show you as well that we have them listed in the examples, some of them anyway. So here's the examples. We've added a new game that just does normal ZIM, and we had made that a little while back. Kind of along the lines of Dodo Dot, where we're making mobile games that are sort of pattern matching or order games or something like that. So that's there. Oh, pressed it. Hey! Here it is. I actually, whoa, don't want to play it at the moment, but and now I have to F11 out of that, and I will F11 back into this. So there's some new things along there. There's also under the collections here, The ZIM 018 will take you to our collections page, and the ML5 will take us to the ML5 collection. And we added just one thing down here, the motion controller on tiles, down under the magical section. Okay, so now let's go to the updates, and that's right here, updates. And we have the ZIM 018 updates, talking about the hand tracking. So we've done two things there. Just quickly, we've integrated the hand tracking. So you see how we've got a hand here, and we're going to pinch. And when we pinch, that's like a click. Otherwise, this little dot is like the cursor, and it actually replaces the mouse and pointer movements with the hand gesture. It's that accurate that we can do that now. And so much like the texture actives, where we use the ray casting in 3D to take over our mouse in CreateJS and ZIM, we are now taking over the mouse with hand tracking. And then when it doesn't detect a hand, it goes back to a mouse. So we'll talk about that in its own bubbling. There's also all the ML5 ones there. Here's the carousel. There's the data class along. So basically we're saying we can still use asset, but we used asset to read in data files like JSON files and text files. And we sort of brought this along in lines with the new odd, the new vid, the new SVG, the new, there's one more, pic, yeah, new pic, and now we have new dat. So these three-letter classes for handling all of our asset imports, or whatever you want to call it, loadings. Yay! We have this cool effect in physics called Puppet, so we'll take you through that. There's the label letter improvements. The motion controller now works on a tile like that. Updates to permissions ask. We have a global style, so that's kind of cool. Instead of just setting style, which we keep on changing, we turn it off, we turn it on, we update the style. Sometimes we just want one that stays around. And so anything that's going to stay around for your whole app, you can add to global style, and then you can continue to update the style on and off or whatever without affecting the global style. And we added a style for mouse, so you can set mouse false or no mouse on things as well. So that could be everywhere, as we did there. It might be on a picture or image of like pics or whatever. So you'll get better performance if you turn the mouse, that's for rollover, and otherwise it's detecting rollover with pixels, and that can not slow things down necessarily, but I mean you'll speed things up. Let's look at it that way. You'll speed things up if you remove it for ultimate performance. We had always been doing, and I'm not sure, usually when we do these bubblings, we have a bubbling that takes you through the smaller things. Why don't we do that this time? Okay, so we already talked about style. I wasn't going to do a bubbling only on global style, for instance. So that's pretty basic. Hopefully you get the idea. And actually we do use it in one or two of the examples, so you'll see it a little bit later in the bubblings. But there it is. Here is the path for, we usually put our stuff in assets. The reason why we do that is it's a little bit tricky to have a path for the frame be two directories. Once you do that, you have to pass in two asset objects, and those asset objects can have a bunch of assets with a path, and another asset object can have a bunch of assets and a path, but that means you got to pass in two asset objects. So usually we put all of our assets in one folder, and that makes sense kind of, because then we can put pictures and sounds in just an assets folder. Yay! All right, so we usually do one folder, and for the longest time we have been forcing everybody to use asset slash with the slash on the end there, and then we kind of scratched our head and said, why are we doing that? Why don't we just, if they put the path of assets without a slash, we'll add the slash for you. So there you go. Woohoo. We have a couple new hit tests, but we will do a bubbling on that because they're fun. And indicator additions, we have an example. Anywhere where we have an example, usually we would do a bubbling specifically on that. We've got one for the custom spacings on the tile, so we'll leave that too. Then we have some general updates. ZIM indicator, add a toggle first and delay light parameters when in interactive mode. Oh yeah, toggle first. I don't know what those are. So we added 2 parameters, and it was actually because one of our examples, we wanted these. And that's how it goes. You build something and you go, I want it to work this way, and it doesn't. So I'm lucky. When I'm building, I get to say, oh, I need that, and I just build it right into ZIM. You guys can always say, hey, I need that, to our forum. All right, remember where you can find the forum? Up top here. Well, actually, there it is, underneath there. What do you know? Go figure. Huh? On any other page, you have the Discord and the forum right there on my updates page. Yeah, and on the docs page. I think on the docs we actually take off those links. Oh, no, they're there, still there. See them? As I rolled, there they are. They're just sitting underneath there. So sorry about that, but any other place you can find them. Back down we go. Hopefully you're enjoying this excitement of a ZIM launch. It's very exciting for us as well. And there's the hit test. There's the indicator. I think we got down to general updates. ZIM page, added corner, border, color, border, width parameters. This affects the order of the parameters. So ZIM page, we now have a break there on the parameters because we were tired. Usually page, when we first made page, it was thought that, oh, that's going to be the size of the stage, basically. Yet that's not always the case. I would say about 20%, 30% of the time, my page, when I make a page, it's not the size of the stage. And sometimes when I do that, I want borders and corners. So there we go. We've added those. It was also showing up for texture actives, which are the texture active object extends, or class extends, a page. And we added the corners for the texture active because we almost always wanted corners on panels in texture actives. And then we scratched our head and said, let's just add it right into the page, and then we won't have to customize this thing when we do texture actives. So that's where all that happened. We've added a salmon color for Zog. Ooh, isn't that exciting? So you can Zog S for salmon. We do like the salmon color. So recently we've added a ZIM color, salmon, and it complements. As a matter of fact, if we scroll up to the top here, there it is. So you see that? That's the salmon color right there. And we are using that to sort of feature some highlights and colors in ZIM. So how exciting. Yeah. Added a repeat parameter progress bar. To progress bar, sometimes you want to demonstrate a progress bar or pull the old Windows move where you run the progress bar and then once it's done you run it again. I wouldn't do that if I were you. Remember when Windows did that? It's like, oh, come on, you guys. Don't use a progress bar if you're doing that. Do a little spinning wheel or something like that. That would be our waiter, for instance. Anyway, we did add a repeat parameter there. We had a suggestion or a comment that maybe there's another way that we could remove green screen. And so we tested that out, and we liked our way of removing any color. This is on the on bitmap app, actually. On the bitmap, you can use key out. And anyway, so rather than fight it out, we kept both. Okay, so key out is the one that we launched a few ZIMs ago, and then remove green screen is an alternative way with an example there. So general fixes, and thanks again for the bug reports and requests on the forum. So there's a link for the forum right there. How about that? These are fixes, though. So all these are kind of like bugs that there were. Looking through them, let's see. Missing, added, panel. I don't want to announce in a bubbling the various bugs that we fixed. But anyway, you can read them there. What we do often when we do a new version is we sometimes include the... So now I'm scrolling down here. We're going to ZIM 017. We sometimes include the patches from the previous one because really that is also they're patched on the last launch, but those patches may happen any time through the several months, 3-4 months or whatever, until the next launch. So we sometimes have taken these and treated them as something new in ZIM, the next version. But take a look at that, huh? That is how many patches we had in ZIM 016. That's a lot of updates. We've been doing a lot of work on ZIM. And so we didn't do it this time. So we didn't bring those patches up into the general updates. So these general updates, where'd they go? These general fixes right here, the patches. Where the heck am I? I must not be up enough. Okay. Beep, 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 beep. Up we go. Improvements, yes. These ones called general fixes did not come from the patches. So we could have, in theory, added all of those patches to this as well. These general fixes came from primarily the forum, where people had requested things, or we've noticed things that are broken, and they were just got added up. So as we moved to do 018, we had to go through all of these and make sure that they were updated. And so that was a fair bit of work. This isn't even new stuff, so to speak. This is just like making sure everything's fixed up and adding a few parameters as well. So you might find your name in there. Thank you very much. Ferritin and Carl and Pank, etc. I may have missed some, but thank you for those. And we've started in our list of breaks. There's not too many breaks this time. The page out of the corner, tap. Tap now, this just came up in the forum today. But tap now defaults to mouse down on mobile. We were sort of sad. Like if you want your mobile to feel responsive on buttons and stuff, you don't do the old tap where it was a down and up. So a down and up just takes a little bit longer, and people notice it on mobile. We can easily make it seem faster just by as soon as you touch that thing, go. So we were always disappointed that we would have to, instead of chaining on the tap, we'd have to go back to an on mouse down and do the on. And that takes us out of chaining. So we had in our mind that we would fix that, and we did. We made it so that tap now defaults to mouse down on mobile. But that can cause some problems. So if you, for instance, put your objects in a window, then you're scrolling the window. If you have a tap on any of those objects, like buttons inside that window, the tap would act on mouse down and you wouldn't get to scroll the window. So, of course, we noticed that, and that was one of the reasons we introduced tap, is so that we could work with it with list easily as well. So in ZIM list, we always use tap on the list so that we don't accidentally activate things on mouse down. And actually tap locks it so that it needs to be in the same place as well. And that allows us, whereas a click doesn't. So you could press down, scroll, and click, and as long as you're pressing up on the object that you press down on, which you are because you just scrolled the whole thing, then that counts as a click. And so we scratched our head and introduced tap as a way to also check for the distance that something's moved. And so that made tap ideal for a list. And a list is just well, not a tile. A list is a tabs in a window. So anyway, if you had objects in a window and you were using tap with them, then watch out. You'll need to update that. That's why we've got the break here. So that you add, although now actually we don't, because we did go and fix it so that the window works, but we just fixed that today. So that counted as a patch, I suppose. But there might be other situations where even on mobile you want the tap to be work on and up. at which point you have a parameter there called mouseup, I think, or no, mobile up. There it is, mobile up. So if you set the mobile up to true and tap, it works like it did before. All right, you had to change it. All right, so that's tap. Ba-doop. Patches. Oh yeah, we had. There's a CreateJS issue. It might be a combination of ZIM and CreateJS. I don't know. I think it might be CreateJS alone, really. If you load the same sound twice, so using load assets or load it in the frame and then use load assets, it gives an error in JavaScript from CreateJS. So we were trying to figure out a way to say that, hey, if you've asked for the same sound twice, we've already loaded that sound, then don't bother loading it because it's already loaded. But that broke lazy loading, because lazy loading, it tries to load it and then it loads it again, so or it preloads it. Anyway, it broke lazy loading, so we had to back out of that, and we'll have to fix the CreateJS. That CreateJS bug has been there since the beginning of ZIM and probably since the beginning of CreateJS. So I don't think there's too much of a rush on it. We'll take a look at it again later, but that was our patch so far. Alrighty, and we've just gone through the updates now, where we've updated the docs, we've updated the updates here, the CDN, so the Content Delivery Network is updated, the code page template. So yep, if you go to the code page, you're now rocking ZIM 018. Distill has been updated. That's where we can minify things. ES6 modules and script pages, we don't have to update those, but since we're showing you how to use them, it kind of helps to have the latest, I suppose, in there. Most of our updates happen automatically. These ones we have to go into and change the numbers, which is the easiest thing. Site features. So that was the 018 that we were showing you. The editor has been updated. Slate, which is the kids editor. The map has been updated. The dev site is updated to 018. Site redesign and banner. Do you like the site? It's, well, we'll just get through this and then I'll talk a little bit more about it. The what's new page. What's a what's new page? Oh, right. There's a what's new banner. And I suppose that's the same as 018 thing. The forum launch, we launched on the forum, so told everybody about it. Just fixed ZIM shim today. So for Adobe Animate, that's now up to 018. We did the About page today. Node Package Managers on 18, and we've updated all of the helper modules as well. So the helper modules are physics, game module, 3JS, sockets, cam, pizzazz. May have missed one, I don't know. And then also the React, Angular, Vue, Svelte templates. And those we just kind of found out, or we sort of knew but forgot, and now we found out again, that you can't rely, when you go to major releases, the little arrow that says bigger than this doesn't actually work on the major releases. So that works for minor releases. So as soon as you do a major release, which we've just done in Node Package Manager, we have to go back and update all of the other things that say what they depend on ZIM. So maybe there's a different symbol rather than the little arrow up. It's like a caret that says greater than this version. For instance, if we left it greater than 17, then it would have an error where, since we're using 18, they for some reason don't think 18 is greater than 17. It's like, I think they're trying to force you to change those dependencies when you do major, decide if you want to do that with major releases, which is okay, whatever. Yeah. We had to go back, and all those have been updated. Yay! We just made the GitHub's release page. Shall we take a look at that? Hopefully this is it. Yep. And so what the GitHub release page is, you can find it under releases. As a matter of fact, this is releases. And so as I scroll through here, it's basically the updates page. And we've been putting more graphics into our updates as well as code examples. And the code example often is what we've put in the docs. I mean, Sometimes it's not, but most of the time it is. And then we have the links to the various places. I wonder why that one's got a big 5 and this one is missing. It looks like we've missed number 6. So we'll have to go back and fix that. You see how 6 is smaller there? We have to put little pound signs in front. So yeah, it's a bit of work to do this. We've got to go into we have to go into the HTML code and convert it to markup, but it's not too hard to do. It's just whatever. We're doing it manually. There's probably some way to do it automatically. And this is directly to the page. I thought this is directly the full thing there. If you go to releases from GitHub, which I've just done now, you see most of the things. So here we are, most of the things there. But then it says read more. So just be careful because there is a read more. And then here's ZIM 017 and so forth. So this is quite a nice way to see through. Mind you, it's pretty similar to our updates, but it's a nice way for people to see through what has been happening in ZIM of late. And if you keep on going, you'll notice it starts changing. So in ZIM 014, there's no pictures. There's no code either. Then ZIM 02, 01, 00, those were also considered major updates. Because we were going to go on that route. It was going to be ZIM version ZIM 00, 01, 02, 03, 04, 05. We just keep on going up. Then we thought, okay, it's a little bit strange having ZIM version ZIM and then go our numbers. So at some point, at that point, we backed out of it and said, okay, let's drop to ZIM and do the 3. So all of our ZIM versions have three characters after it. Cat, Neo, 10, etc. And so we're still calling that 3 characters. Yay. All right, there we go. We did it. Okay, so I think that's pretty good, but I did want to show you or just talk to you a little bit about the site. And how do we get to the site? F11, I can do that. Just overlay here. So aside from the new banner, we've adjusted the site a little bit in that we're no longer doing the interstellar blue, which was a dark blue with a light blue, what's new. And we're not sure. We think it's okay. We're still getting used to it a little bit. It did dull it down a little bit, but we've got so much color happening everywhere in ZIM that perhaps rather than having this blue, it was sort of like this combo of blue everywhere. Well, you can see it. So if we go to the versions here, this is one way to see through the versions. Here is the look for 018, and there is the look for 017 with the blue and the black. Okay, it was fine. I mean, and I think we had the same color. We had the same color format for 016, 015, 014. I don't know. I think 014 also had the color. I'm not sure when we brought it in. That color, NFT. Oh, NFT's different. Darn. Now I'm stuck. F11. Yeah, that we might. Oh, and now I'm out. We might adjust that at some point. Our updates here. As soon as we hit NFT, it takes us out. All of the rest of the. Oh, that's sorry, the wrong place here. Top. I want to go to here, and as soon as we hit NFT, we're out. Cat maintained it, so cat was definitely different in the background colors, and we could expand open our cat. Oh, cute! Remember that? 10 was older as well. The 10 site had the whole different ZIM logo. Anyway, so here's the most recent one. It feels to me a little bit dark as we go through the learn section because we're doing this dark. It's not quite black, but it's a dark place, and that's how we're reading. I don't think people spend too much time reading the ZIM site, though, so hopefully we're all right. You're welcome to let us know in the forum if you want, if you like the new look. And we found that it just helped feature the banner a little bit more. Sometimes the banner is a touch small like that, but it just kind of depends on the roll of the dice in a sense and how big the pattern is. If it's a smaller pattern, it tends to... I'm not even sure actually when it groups around here more than stretching out. But yeah, it just kind of helped offset this. It was a bit too much color, I think, when we had a big colorful banner like this. And we tried the banner. We could have made the banner go all the way across. We tried that too, and it was just too overwhelming. So we then went with this approach. But otherwise, I think you'll find that the site's structurally the same. So that's good. We've really locked down, I think, on our main sections, our ways to handle all of our other gold bars down there at the bottom. And this bar becomes a little bit different as we go into here. It's no longer really a bar, but it's just some links in there. But I think we can handle that. And remember that when you're down here, we don't have a top. But if you just go to the first one, it goes to... hopefully you figured that out. We can get to the top by going that. Gold bar does have a top here, but not the other bars, but it never has. All right, so there you go. We still got the chat bot there and our set of tools. Discord is there, and forums. Come on into the forums. Certainly if you're watching this and you're still with us, you must be interested in what's going on here. If you're not in the forums, you should be. Okay, that's our main place to communicate. Please say hi, talk to us, ask questions, make comments, and we'll see you then. This has been our first bubbling then. We usually like to keep our bubblings around, well, less than half an hour, and that's about now. So I am Dr. Abstract, and What's Bubbling in ZIM? Great to have you here. Like I said, come on by the forum. zimjs.com/forum or forum.zimjs.com, and we hope to see you there, or Discord, zimjs.com/discord. Cheers.